We're crossing over to Sun City in the northwest, where Godfrey Mutizwa is standing by with Chichi Maponya, the CEO of the Maponya Group at the Africa Dialogue. Godfrey, a very good evening to you.
Good evening, Eleni, and welcome to Sun City. Eleni, it's not quite, you can't quite see the sun, but it is still Sun City. And we're talking here really about a new relationship between South Africa and the rest of the world, particularly the BRIC nations. We are here at the Dialogue, the Africa Dialogue series, sponsored by the Department of Trade and Industries. And with me, as you said, it is Chichi Maponya. She is chairwoman of Brand SA. Chichi, thank you for your time. I'm sure you've been sitting throughout all these sessions, listening to these conversations about how we can take Africa and South Africa and be competitive in the global economy. From your interactions and from what you have you heard anything that convinces you that we are beginning to create this one brand around Africa as a place to do business?
Thank you for having me on the show. I do believe that there's a willingness of the political heads, the ministers who are here representing various countries, various ministries within their respective countries, showing willingness to, come together in building the growth of Africa as an integrated force. You have discussions around power, you have discussions around the minerals and energy, you have discussions around infrastructure, which are forming a big base of the discussions here. And all of that is integration. But also the sentiment that is coming across is that there's a new way of doing things. And Africa has that chance of carving their own way of doing things. In carving that way, you're building a unified brand.
Yeah, but Chichi, I suppose, it's easy for countries like China, countries like Russia, countries like Brazil and India, the other BRIC nations, to sell themselves as one brand. When you are trying to build a brand for 54 pieces, 54 African countries, it is much harder. So it's important that there be that political willingness. But that's not enough on its own. It's the actions on the ground, isn't it, that makes the difference between actually people believing things are changing and things really changing on the ground.
Absolutely, Godfrey.
What do you tell governments, though?
Well, one of the learning lessons, which is one of the sessions that was discussed here, was around the World Cup and the World Cup legacy. And what the World Cup did in terms of unifying the nation and also having unity of purpose.
Right.
And that unity of purpose is what will drive the unified messaging and the unified branding of Africa. Yes, we are different in terms of where we are on the developmental scale from country to country. Yes, we are different in terms of what our priorities are, but there is that willingness to say one unified message needs to be communicated to say Africa is open for business, but open for business on different terms, not business as usual, but on terms that are developmental in nature. So every engagement will look at industrialization, will look at the infrastructure build, will look at localizing a lot of the efforts. So from that perspective, the willingness is there, but yes, it has to cascade through. And that is a process that will have to be engaged.
I suppose it's one message that we must continue building. So we must still continue talking about 1 billion people. We must continue talking about the GDP combined of Africa of $1.6 trillion. And we continue saying we don't want to see soldiers in government. May that message continue to be told so it's easier for you to sell the brand. Chichi, you came in a month ago as the chairperson of Brand SA. You filled in big shoes because the groundwork had been done for you.
Absolutely.
But from us in the media, what we want to know is how you will take this forward. What do you change? How do you make this work even better than what it is? What are your plans?
The previous chairman worked very hard on consolidating and putting a lot of plans in place. And now we are emerging with a new payoff line for the country, inspiring new ways. And this is now implementation stage. And I'm coming in at that stage where I need to now take the organization to the next level,
Sure.
and the country, because it's not just the organization,
Yeah.
it's the whole country which has to buy into the inspiring new ways,
Yeah.
and take it to the next level.
Yeah, and the continent, I suppose.
Absolutely. There's a big drive towards integration on the continent. I mean, the trade agreements, the tripartite trade agreement that is underway currently is one such way. We will also be tested in terms of coordinating the messaging when we take the new payoff line onto the market.
Chichi, good luck when trying to sell that message, and we certainly will be doing our best in the media to try and carry that one message of one continent and 1 billion people with $1.6 trillion in combined GDP and household income. Some say will reach as much as $2.6 trillion in the next few years.